Hello, everybody. Today is Wednesday, June the 13th. Today, we will talk about reviewing for air masses and weather fronts, since we just learned about weather fronts the day before. For our do now, we should have already known our do now. So for the weather map, which shows a portion of low pressure system, which front would pass over location A. So not, as we can see here at the top, there's something going on. That's an occluded front because it's a combination between a warm and a cold front. So the occluded front would then, it looks like it's combining. So the cold front would meet the warm front. So it's actually occluded. Understandably, a lot of you put cold, but it is actually occluded. So this is a tricky one. It's going to come out on a test. For this next one, what is the difference in the air temperature and humidity between continental polar and maritime tropical? Maritime tropical is warmer and humid. So the correct answer was C here. And then for the last one, it is what best represents the front. Remember, low pressure goes toward the left, and it looks like this one's going toward the right. This one's going toward the right. This one looks like it's going toward the left counterclockwise. So A has to be the only answer choice. That's tricky. So I would just look at the points, like wherever this is pointing, it's like an arrow shooting toward that direction, arrow shooting toward this direction, arrow shooting toward that direction. Okay, cool. The next thing that you're going to do is for task 1, follow the instructions within each question, answer accordingly. Use the weather reference sheet. If you do not have one, pause this video, walk over to the white bin that's located like by We Turn In Our Classwork by the Jedi Academy board. Please get one and use it because you will be able to use that tomorrow for your quiz. Awesome. So for this one, I'm going to explain. The weather map below shows a portion of the United States, line A through B. This is line A through B. It represents a frontal boundary, meaning a weather frontal boundary, between two air masses. Remember, that is the definition of a weather front. It's when two air masses interact. So the two large arrows indicate the direction that a CP air mass is moving. So a CP air mass, the first thing that I want you to do, how to think about this question, is identify, well, what's a CP air mass? A CP air mass, C stands for continental, P stands for polar. It's a continental polar air mass. And the next thing I want you to tell me is what's the temperature and like the weather pattern you would experience in that area. So continental, it's going to be dry, and polar, it's going to be cold. So dry and cold. Awesome. The next one is for number 2. What is a maritime or an MT air mass? Well, I just told you the first one. M stands for maritime, and T stands for tropical, right? Use your weather reference sheet. Maritime it forms over the ocean, so it is moist. And tropical, it is going to be warm because it's closer to the equatorial area. So that latitude. 3, will this air mass pushing in result in a cold front or warm front? Well, and acknowledge what CP is. Acknowledge where CP is going. It's going toward the MT. So CP, we already know that one's going to be, I can write this in a different color, cold. And then we see that CP, cold mass, is pushing into a warm mass. So this is warm. When a cold mass pushes into a warm mass, that is showing us which type of front would be taking place. Cold pushing into warm. Cold pushing into warm. Okay. That would be if you guessed it and wrote it down, that's amazing, a cold front. Because the cold is pushing into warm. In the explanation, that's when you're explaining how you know. It is pushing into warm. So pushing, the cold air mass is pushing into warm air mass. If you explain it like that, you're golden. 2 is draw the weather front symbol you described from number 3. So the weather front symbol, if you said this is a cold front, how does that look like? Oh, I better see you draw this. better than I, and I better see you draw this cold front. Remember, it's if you don't have blue, it's okay. Just use your pencil or pen, and then you're drawing it as such with the triangles. That's it. Next one, go ahead and pause, write this down if you need to. For the next one, go through air masses in South America. Okay, I'm going to give you answers here. These are all close to the equator, okay? This is a very small map. All of these areas are actually warm. So the temperature here for all of these is going to be warm. The temperature for all of these is going to be warm. So I'm just giving you that answer because understandably that the equator tricks you up. So equatorial, this is very close to the equatorial boundary, and all of those are just going to be warm. You need to answer for humidity, and you need to answer like the name of the air mass based on the temperature and humidity. So for A, we know that it's warm. It's like literally right on the equator. But what's a humidity? Is it moist or dry? It should be dry because it's over a continent. It's over land. So it's dry. Now that I know that it's dry and warm, well, for dry, I know that it has to be continental, so I would put a C, lowercase. And then for warm, it has to be tropical because if it were polar, it would be very cold or cold. So it has to be tropical, capital T. All right. All of the ones that I want you to mention are here: CP, CT, MP, MT. Do that. And then once you're done, move on to the next task. All right, we've done something very similar to this before. I gave you the equator. I gave you the compass rose for the direction. I gave you the air masses I want you to mention. I'm telling you, use this list of words to write here. But look over them carefully because people get tricked up, right? This is a review of what we did last time. The next thing, this is also a review. All you have to do is fill in the letter to the number. Obviously, go ahead and pause this video and play it later. Maybe pause it now if you're not done with this, and then play it when you're done so I can explain this section. Great. So I'm going to explain this section. Maritime tropical air mass overtakes the continental polar air mass. So what type of weather symbol would this be? So I want you to tell me, I want you to draw it out. So draw the weather symbol, the weather front symbol. Remember, according to your reference sheet, is it going to be occluded, stationary, cold, or warm? So that's what you have to do for all of these. After you do that, you're going to identify if each of these represents a cold or warm front based on the weather pattern. So cold or warm front, list it in one of these, okay? Is it cold or is it warm? After that, the very last thing, so obviously pause and play whenever you need for this video. The very last thing that you're going to do is analyze this graph because this is going to support you for what we're going to be learning next. It's a review. So the H stands for what? L stands for what? Circle the area on the map that's experiencing bad weather. That means I want you to circle it. Draw a box around the areas in the map that are experiencing good weather. Define air mass. What does the term humidity mean? And 18, if an air mass is humid, where does it come from? Next, you have to put H and L for high or low pressure. And then we'll review these answers together. Or if you're done, go to just raise your hand or give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up, acknowledging that you are done. Then I will say thumbs up. Go check your answers with the answer key. Fix those answers if you need to. And I don't just want you to erase and fix them. Like, this is your study tool. So do that. And then that's it. Okay? And then you're done. If you're on this computer, I will allow you to assign yourself on the computer if you have time. But do it silently. Great. Good job.